Hello and welcome to Triangle BNI. Today's show is brought to you by Oak City Tech. Oak City Tech gives their clients an edge over their competition with web and logo design that make them stand out. They increase brand awareness and generate leads with SEO and social media presence, and then convert those leads into clients with content creation and email marketing. Go to Oak City Tech, send them a note. I know they'll get back with you and help you grow your business and make some more money. Tell Drago we said hi. Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Manning. Each week, we bring you a successful small business story from Triangle BNI. BNI is Business Networking International. It's the world's largest networking organization. Our little slice of heaven here in the Triangle is Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill. Each week, 32 chapters and almost 580 members get together to help each other grow their business. And our small business success story this week, Carlos Mims with Trapp Insurance Group. Carlos, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Doing
So
great.
Carlos has many titles to his name. He's the VP at work, the president of his chapter, which is Triangle's Best. They meet at the famous Toastery in Waverly Place in Cary Monday mornings at 8:30.
8:30.
8:30. So if you're a morning person, if you're a Monday morning person, got to go see that group. There's a wealth of knowledge in there
Yes.
and a couple of smart asses in the group.
Oh,
So
most
if
definitely.
you like people picking back at each other, that's the way to go. But we're glad to have you here today. We're going to talk about life insurance, financial planning, kids, potential grandkids. We got all kinds of stories coming up. But let's start off with you hold the life insurance seat.
Yes.
What do we need to know whether I'm 58, somebody's 28? What's a couple of things they need to know on how to approach life insurance?
The first thing is we really got to stop thinking of life insurance as the death insurance.
True.
I mean, everybody, when you mention life insurance, it's always, oh man, it's a death thing.
I'm not there yet.
You know what I mean? Me either. My perspective on life insurance is a love letter. It's a love letter
Yep.
to everybody that I leave behind unexpectedly. So the question becomes, what do I have now that I need to protect for my family? And then with life insurance, at your current age, that's the cheapest that your life insurance will ever be.
Yes.
So the older you get, the premium goes up, and you run into the possibilities of having some medical situations come up. So why not go ahead and get you at your best health, your best age,
Mhm.
and then set things in place so if the what if happens, it's covered.
If you are right out of college or right out of high school, not going to college, you got your first job. Actually, should you have it before then? Should the parents get their kids life insurance, or do you wait till you're out of high school on your own and working?
Oh, I think the parents should get it before. They should have this is that one thing of where they have a small whole life. It's that insurance in case they get some medical come up that they can't get it on the other end. You know they're covered for however much it is. But yeah, I mean both of my kids or all four of my kids are
You want
insured.
to tell two of them you forgot about them? They're going to be
But
watching
yeah,
later.
it's easy when they're grown and
The two
gone.
favorites.
Yeah, out of sight, out of mind, out of pocket.
No, true that on out of pocket. Yeah.
So it's they all have insurance. They all understand the need, and that insurance is really not about the insured; it's about the loved ones that you have.
You correct me if I've got this wrong. If you buy life insurance with certain companies, you're covered, or is that health insurance? What did I hear one time? If you buy, like my grandson Oliver, who I bring in the show every week, I don't really care why, but just reason to talk about him. He's 16 months old. If I buy him health insurance, he's covered, even if something catastrophic happened a year later where he didn't have health insurance.
Um, Health insurance is usually well. Are we talking about you just bought an individual policy on him?
Yeah, just on him.
Yeah, if you buy an individual policy on him, as long as the policy is in effect, he's covered.
Okay.
Now there may be, with kids, there may be an increase in premium
Yeah.
on an ongoing basis, but if something happens while the policy is active, then they're covered.
As hopefully he's got two grandfathers, and his other grandfather's cool too. But so what should I be thinking? Because kids 16 months, they're just gonna play with the box and the wrapping paper anyways, right? What kind of things should my wife and I be thinking about buying for him or for just grandkids in general?
Um, two things are real neat with grandkids. And unfortunately, I don't have one, but I'm already planning.
There you go.
Uh,
We're gonna get to that,
yeah,
yeah.
we one is as I stated earlier, I think now all of them should have a small policy.
Mhm.
Two is that's a good time to start, you know, purchasing some saving bonds
Okay.
that over time, because saving bonds take time to mature.
Yeah.
But over time, when they do mature, now you've actually gotten a little investment for them
Okay.
that they can either use for school or they can, if they need that car or what have you, down payment on a house. But it's something that you can just, systematically put in place
Okay.
for the child.
I had the discussion with my son once they told us we're gonna be grandparents that your college is yours. I'm not even thinking about paying for that. I'm doing what I want to do for my grandchild. He'll be, we'll get him something good that's, necessary. But college, you're on your own. I don't want to touch that. So he knows he's on his own for college.
That's a good conversation.
Yeah, that did. He's like, okay, fine. You are the president in your chapter. You hold the life insurance seat. You mentioned love letters earlier. Give me the backstory on that when you stand up to give your 60 seconds talking about a love letter to your family. Because when I first heard about that, it's a couple of months ago, forget, because we've had Hope and Scott and Bill and Kimball from your
Okay.
chapter on the show. Somebody told me about that, and I thought that was just a great idea. How did that come about? And what are you telling people?
Well, actually, what it is something that my dad did unknowingly. My dad was great about, let me show you. I can show you better than I can tell you. And he was with my mom for over 30 years, and then he passed away from a stroke. And the reality of it is when he passed away, my mom's lifestyle never changed. She didn't have to go back to work. She stayed the same house. Bills was met. She had money to spend, which she did very well. Um, and then it started growing on me that that was the greatest love letter because when we create love letters, it's always talking about how much I love you and things of that nature. So I said, well, look, life insurance is that love letter that uh, when it's read when somebody's gone, it really shows the ultimate love is that I want you to maintain and enjoy life whether I'm here or not. And what I found out is that many of us we get married to create a lifestyle, to create something together. And when somebody passes on, um, why have that lifestyle stop? For many of us, when that happens, you got to, sell the house, move locations. And my thing is, I want my wife to know that I love her, whether in life and death, that if I happen to pass away, she can keep the house. She can keep doing what she's doing. Everything is set. So that becomes my love letter. And I've learned that from my dad, who never really talked about it. But in his action, he set it up where my mother did not have to worry about anything. And, I heard you earlier talking about you're selling an estate. I didn't really realize that until I had to get involved with my dad's estate.
Yeah.
And I was amazed at what he'd already put in place, but he never talked to me about it.
Yeah.
So I'm continuing that on, and now I'm trying to make sure I talk to my kids. This is what you need to do. This is how you set that up, so your wife will never have to worry about it.
My brother handled both of our parents' estates, and I told him he's got mine, my wife's, my whole family's because he loves numbers and stuff like that. He's real good at it because it's difficult to do. There's a
Yes.
lot of stuff involved. How old were you when you lost your dad?
I was right about 48, 49.
Oh, okay. And both my folks are gone, but it's always nice to see something good come out of that.
Yeah.
And what you learn, and older dads are for the older generation's funny. They don't say it, but they do it.
Yes.
He left it for you, even though he didn't make a big, a lot of hugs and loves and all that stuff. It's like, here's what I did for you. So I know that. I guess I can say it took some of the pressure off your mom a
Oh, it
little
did.
bit.
It did. It made that transition a whole lot easier. Now we're not worrying. She's not
Yeah.
worried about whether can she keep the house
Yeah.
or how am I going to live. All that was taken away. And I tell younger guys, like now,
Yeah.
I said the best way that you really want to keep your wife single if you die, load her up with some money. She ain't sharing it with nobody. That's a guarantee. She ain't getting married. Now, if you don't,
Yeah.
Don't get
Oh,
no
yeah,
insurance
yeah.
because she's
And
gonna be
you
looking.
and they'll think about you one day once
Yeah,
you get
exactly.
like, be up in heaven looking like, "Should listen to
No,
Carlos."
exactly. So I'm, my goal, nah, if you do marry my wife, you gotta be loaded.
Yeah, there you go. Going back to what you said about that's the cheapest you'll ever buy it is your age right now.
Right.
There's there's no way to catch up. If you're 45 or 55, it'll
Not,
cost you dearly though,
uh,
but you're never going to catch up,
yeah, you're
right?
never gonna catch up because you lose the difference of the premium
Yeah.
from when you were young to your old. It's that old saying, when you start investing when you're young, time is your friend.
Oh yeah.
When you invest when you're older, time's your enemy. Same thing with insurance. The older you are and the longer you wait, the more the premium you're gonna pay for less coverage.
Yeah.
When you're young, man, you get a half of, when you're young, you're 20, you get almost $1 million for like 18 bucks, 20 bucks a month for $1 million.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's dirt cheap. Because the reality is, insurance is a business,
Oh yeah.
and they're banking on the younger you are, the longer you're gonna pay the premium. You're not gonna do, the odds are you're gonna live quite a bit.
Yeah.
So the insurance company's gonna make their money. But the older you are, you usually have more medical issues,
Yes.
more things that you got to be concerned about. And statistically, men die a lot earlier than
Yeah.
our counterparts.
Is there a or what's your thoughts on whole versus life?
I'm one of, I think term is a great product. Um,
Or term, not life. Yeah.
yeah, term is a great product in your working years because you get a whole bunch of insurance for a little bit of price.
Okay.
Because that's the time where you got the kids, you got the house, you're trying to make sure if something happens to me, my income's replaced. Um, but I also think that, if you invest properly, you still have it. But I'm a big believer in why use your own money.
Mhm.
If the company's gonna put it out there, let me use yours, and it's tax free. So, whole life, I think everybody ought to have a little small part, and that's for burial when I die. I told my wife, I said, look, this little amount right here is what you bury me with.
Yeah.
That's it. Don't go overboard. Don't be sitting up here and, crying and, get a Cadillac. I actually told my wife, I said, look, this is what I want you to do. When I die, you find the cheapest way to put me in the ground. Then after that, I want you to go on a 7 days cruise,
Mhm.
do whatever you want to do. If you take anybody, they got to pay their own way.
Yeah.
And I said, you just flat out have a blast. And she looked at me, she said, well, why would you say that to me? I said, because that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to ask you to do something. I'm going to do something that I'm not willing to let you do. So we got that clear.
Yeah.
So,
But that's good. We're laughing about it now, but that's good though to understand, to know what's planned for.
Oh yeah.
I like that. I
Oh,
hope
yeah.
she told some of her friends, here's what my husband did for me.
I don't know.
You got to get husband points for that, right?
Man, my deal is I need to make it very hard for replacement.
Yeah, I like that. I've never heard it put that way, but I'm gonna look at life insurance people different now. See if they're that smart as you. So, I've not met one yet.
I want no replacements.
So you want to be buried versus
cremated?
You don't want your guy, you don't have a checklist for your boys to, okay, here, these are the 41 spots I want my ashes, just to make them do something.
The reality, I could care less.
Yeah.
This is like I'm gone to heaven. I'm rejoicing. I ain't got no more bills, no pain. However you want to do it is fine. I have, my wife might change her mind. I don't want to bury it.
Yeah.
so
cheaper this way. Get more money
exactly. I can go,
I'll take a 10-day cruise. We're cremating.
Exactly. And at that point,
yeah.
Why would I get upset? It ain't gonna come back to haunt her.
Are your boys? I know you have two married. Actually, we're going to get into that for a second. We are here with Carlos Mims, Vice President of Trapp Insurance Group. He is also president of his BNI group, Triangle's Best. They meet Monday mornings at 8:30 at Famous Toastery in Cary. Today's show is brought to you by Oak City Tech, where they help you reach your goals with proven technologies for increasing traffic, leads, and sales. Go to oakcitytech.com. Tell Drago we said hi. All right, so let's talk a little family here because we've got 6 boys between us. I think we approach being dads a lot of the same way. I always ask people, how did you meet your spouse? And you both tell it the same way.
Oh, wow.
That's what I get from guys.
Um,
Usually.
uh,
Let's start with how you met.
okay, well, I gotta say,
Literally.
um, so I've been married twice,
Okay.
and so the second wife that I'm with now, we've been
We'll
married.
talk about her. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The first wife I met in college,
Okay. Fayetteville State.
Fayetteville State,
Right.
Fayetteville State University. Met her there. Cupid shot me. Got married.
Yep.
Had 2 boys, Carlos Jr. and Keenan. Somewhere down the line, we kind of went our separate ways.
Okay.
Met my second wife, something about college. I met my second wife at St. Augustine's College here in Raleigh.
Was she in college and you were taking a night class?
Not
or
that
what?
bad, no.
Oh, give me a good story.
Nah. Even if it was true. Nah, we met, I was coming in as a tech because I spent 20-something years as an IT guy.
Mhm.
And I still remember the first day that I saw her. She was in the back of the tech room, and they introduced me, and Anjali's her name, and they go, Anjali, this is Carlos, our new tech. She just lifted her head up and said, hey, and went back to work.
Ooh,
So
okay.
we spent 7-8 months. She didn't like me. I ain't like her.
Really?
Oh yeah, we would go at it back and forth.
You both thought you were right?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Turns out mostly she was right. But I refused to
You
bow
tell the story
down.
now,
Yeah,
yeah.
I refused to bow down. So I don't know where or what happened that actually got me to the point where I said, oh, she's interested, you know.
Yeah.
So I felt like Urkel because she turned me down more times than I ever been turned down in my life. You know, she was I'd ask her, just go to the movie. She'd go, no. I go, well, bring your friend. It'll be a
Yeah,
group.
yeah.
No. I mean, it's just no.
Damn.
No. But I wore her down.
There you go.
And so we went. Our very first movie was Batman Forever.
Okay.
And that was at the cinema behind Tower Shopping Center.
Oh,
There used to be a movie theater
yeah.
there.
Okay.
Yeah, that was an interesting event. Yeah, we'll
That's
move on.
actually, yeah, that's actually a good sales teaching opportunity. You were consistent, you were repetitive, you were not going to be turned away. You're going to get the sales.
Oh yeah, you know, when you're focused,
Oh yeah.
when you're determined, you know, no is just a word.
How would she tell this? Do you think?
Probably a nuisance.
He kept asking.
You know, she had no intentions whatsoever. You know, let's be honest. I was a divorcee.
Yeah.
And my boys would come to the campus, and you know, she goes, "Oh, you had 2 bad boys." they were boys.
Okay.
They were boys.
All right.
And she just had no interest whatsoever.
Yeah.
And she'll tell you, I don't know what it was. And there was one guy on staff that said, y'all 2 gonna get together. Nice. He always said, I don't know when. He said, but y'all 2's gonna get together. And then when we actually got together, you know, it was like, I told you.
He took full credit.
Oh yeah, he took full credit for it. I said, he must have been praying.
For those of us who have dads who have boys, at some point in time, the conversation comes up, do we name them after us as a junior? What was your thought? What led you up to naming for your son to be Carlos Jr.?
It was no conversation.
But what in your head though? Why not?
Yeah. My dad wanted a junior. That's how I ended up with Carlos. My
Okay.
dad's name is Charlie C. Mims.
Okay.
And he told my mom, I want a junior. And my mom flat out, it's not happening. We're not going to have it. And then somebody told him that Carlos was Charlie in Spanish.
Oh, okay.
So he said, okay, I can go with Carlos. And I don't remember where they got my middle name from. But so I ended up Carlos Courtney Mims. And I had to spend the rest of my life telling people I don't speak Spanish.
Yeah.
But that's another story. But then when I got married the first time, I was like, it wasn't even a conversation. If it's a boy, it's going to be a junior, period.
And she went with that.
Oh yeah, she went with it. Now we struggled with the second. I didn't know what to name. I had mine, so I was good.
Well, my dad, thinking about it, my dad kind of did the same thing because I'm the second of 3, but I'm the first son. and he told my mom, that our son is going to be named Michael Thomas Manning. And my mom went, okay. Now, I don't know. This was, 61. So I don't know if things were different back then or not, but we had trouble. Our first son, we're sitting at a stoplight. And my wife said, what do you think of the name Travis? Light turned green. Yeah, I'm good with that. That was the extent of that. And our second son, Cameron, we went 8 months. We went through every name book, had a fight. We had one of our early fights over that name.
It's funny because when I got married the second time, my wife actually kind of named our present son Matthew and Timothy.
Okay.
I had a girl's name.
Yeah.
That's why I got 4 boys.
Okay.
I kept trying.
Yeah.
I had a girl's name. I didn't have a boy's name.
Yeah.
And then, she came up with Matthew. Now, what I do have, which I just recognized probably about 3 years ago, all of my kids have this first name and a J. So it's Carlos Jr.,
Okay.
Keenan Jamal, Matthew Josiah, and Timothy Jordan.
Oh, wow.
So,
okay.
And we didn't go after that.
Yeah.
But it works out.
Okay.
Now, if I had a claim to fame about all of this, is the fact that even though I was married twice in my second marriage with 21 years, when my boys get together, I cease to exist. Them dudes love each other to the point that on birthdays, the 2 older ones will take the younger ones out, and you go to, venture landing, eat pizza. And the great thing, I never got a receipt to say, Dad, I need you to cover this.
Mm-hmm.
They covered all of it. I mean, I remember on Matthew's, I think 16th, 17th birthday, Carlos Jr. came in with like a 32 or 42-inch flat screen TV. Hey, happy birthday. I was like, yo. And I'm trying to figure out, okay, is that me or his mother's teaching? But that I love the fact that they were able to come together despite of this situation.
Mm-hmm.
And now when we get together as a family photo, my wife looks like could be the mother of all of them. And they go, oh, you look great to have all this. And she goes, yeah.
You're welcome. Your Facebook picture has 2 girls, 5 guys. Did I read?
Yeah. Got my daughter-in-law,
okay.
My wife.
I think that's my next question. Okay.
Yeah. So the son on the end.
Yeah.
That's his wife.
Okay, gotcha.
And then everybody else is,
And they live in Maryland, you're saying?
Yeah, they're in Upper Marlboro, Maryland.
Right.
And then my oldest son is here in Raleigh. And then my 2 are at the house.
Okay. We were laughing earlier about grandparent stories, and you have it all straightened out with your boys, right? They know what's coming.
Oh yeah. It's on. I told him, I said, look, and then I got this from my dad because
I'm liking your dad more.
I mean, I love my dad. It's a shame you appreciate your father when they're gone more than when they're living. Because he was a beast living with him. But he's a military guy.
Yeah.
Most military guys, they love him, but they didn't say it as much.
Yeah.
My dad, I told my kids how my dad was. He's kind of strict, this, that, and the other. And then when they go visit, it's just like a teddy bear. I mean, he's loving on them. Yeah. They cut the grass. He gives them $20. Oh. I mean, and then they come back to me and say, Dad, you didn't tell me the truth about my father. And so, I immediately get on the phone, Dad, what's up? He goes, I don't know why. This is his words. I don't know why you lying on me like that. I said, I'm nothing like you said. And then he goes, son, look, I need you to understand. I had to raise and train you. Mm-hmm. I get to enjoy them.
There you go.
So I go, okay, cool. So I tell my kids now, I said, I need you to understand. Yeah. When you bring the grandbabies, they're mine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So 15 minutes before you come and pick them up, I'm juicing them. I'm just letting you know. We're going to have some Kool-Aid and some sugar, mega Oreos.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm letting you know right now how they're going to be when you get them. Yeah. So there's no misunderstanding. And they were like, Dad, that's not right. That's my prerogative, but look, this is called payback with interest.
When Oliver was up during, we had him for all of Thanksgiving weekend. I forgot what it's like to chase a 1-year-old around the house.
Oh.
We had 5 adults. It looked like WWE wrestling. We're tagging each other in and out like, I need 15-minute break. It's your turn. took my son's car, put Oliver in his car seat, and I went and tooled around town, introducing him to some of my friends. You guys stay home. I don't care if you go or not. You were telling the story before he came on the air, and I want you to hold it, about your son in Maryland bringing home the grandchild, gets 30 days with
Oh
you.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He
I love this.
my son, they haven't had the grandkids. They said they're working on it. We'll see how that works. But he told me when he gets about 3 or 4, he said, "Dad, here's the plan. Me and my wife's already got it worked out." My son's parents are in Greensboro. I'm in Raleigh. He said, "What we're gonna do is I'm gonna bring the baby in. You keep him for 30 days at the beginning of the summer. And then I want you to take him over to Brittany's parents. They're going to keep him from 30 days. And then we'll pick him up sometime in August for school." And I was like, Keenan, it don't work that way. I'm not sure where you got that plan. That ain't going to happen. And, and he looked at him, "No, Dad, it works. It works out." I said, no, it works for you. I said, "But no, I ain't keeping your child for 30 days. I said, "You got to be kidding." I said, I love, I don't have him, but he's got it worked out. And he said, and this will be annually. This is not, this is not just one
and
year.
Then there'll be 2 kids.
Oh yeah. I need, his words was, "I need that close bond with the grandparents and the kids." I said, "I got your bond."
Be going on cruises.
Yeah, and I'll do a video.
I just want to ask him, I have one question for him is, how do you think your dad is going to watch your child for 30 days? Is he going to take the month off of work?
Man, look, and it's funny. I hadn't even thought about that. It's the fact that he had the nerve to say he's going to stay at my house for 30 days. No. I was like, "Dude, I can't get you to stay for 30 days. This is, I got a house, not a fire station."
Yeah. Oh, that is so good. In theory, it would be great to have your grandchild for 30 days.
Oh, yeah.
Love the idea. However, the execution, well, that's going to be tough, especially if you're working.
Yeah.
Oh, or older. Tough time chasing a 3-year-old around everywhere.
Well, my wife don't know this, but I could, she's working now, but I could bring her home. And then she can run around with 3 years.
Yeah, you're really going to win that one. Yeah. Now, while she wouldn't mind the time and love on grandma, but yeah, I don't, I forgot what it's like to chase that much energy around the house. It's been a while since we've had a 1-year-old in the house. And plus he was at our house, so most everything is new to him.
Right.
Man, we thought we baby-proofed the place, and we have a shelf behind the kitchen table, and there are these plastic serving dishes where you can put, the salad dressing in the middle, and you got little slots for carrots and tomatoes and celery and all that. And man, he found that and game on. Like, dude, come on, yeah.
It's just like my mother-in-law is. She likes everything in order.
Ooh.
So I remember when we were in our early marriage, I'd drink a Coke, leave the can on the table, on the kitchenette table, and I'll throw it away later. Oh, no, you got to get it, And I was like, okay. As soon as Matthew comes into the house, the kid goes under the sink, pulls out every pot and pan. She says nothing. She just looks at him, and he commenced to do it. And, now I'm hot. I'm a little upset. This kid's just tearing up your kitchen, and you have nothing to say. And that's my baby. I was like,
exactly.
Oh, man, I can't wait. Oh, it's on. So, and then he comes home and think he can do the same thing.
We took some with Oliver, and I call them it's my son, but I call Oliver and his parents. So they were in, and our youngest son, his girlfriend were in. So we had a wonderful Thanksgiving. We went to, there's a little historic place over off Pool Road, Oak something, I think it was. We went to have family pictures made there. And Oliver comes to me, and I explained to people, when he first got on the floor crawling, I'm on the floor with him. So I put my time in with him. We're crawling everywhere. We're ducking in on this and that. So he knows I got the time with him. So when he sees me, he comes to me. Good with that, right? And I tell people, we get out of the car, I got him. We get out of the car, I got him. So the pictures come back, like 90% of the pictures I'm holding.
No.
And I don't feel bad at all.
Nah, that's our prerogative.
My man.
Man, it's just like,
It's a this grandparent club is the best.
Well,
I'm telling you.
I'm eager to get there, but I'm
Yes,
not
right.
because
And we're had the same thought.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
But once you have the first one, let's go.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Now we're in. Let's be all.
We'll open up that floodgate. I said, dude, you're my son. I know.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, you can't even be a parent with just one child.
No,
You
and
need
that's
you need at least
easy.
2 or 3.
And most of my analogies I give are sports related. And I tell parents one's easy because it's a zone defense.
Yeah.
When the second one comes, it goes man to man. And if you think everything just doubles, you are so wrong. It quadruples.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You go this way, I got this one, and then you're divvying up little league. Okay, we got soccer here, baseball
Oh
here,
man.
band here.
It's like there's a to that point, there's a commercial on TV where the lady has her first child,
Yes.
and she's so
Yeah.
you got to cover this, and by the time that second child comes, like, here's my number, it drops
The
the kid,
tattooed in the ear pierced baby.
and she's gone.
Yeah.
And I know with Matthew, man, we were so cautious about him driving and this, that, and the other. Man, this 14-year-old, I can't wait for him to have his license.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm gonna find him a car.
You're done driving.
Man,
yeah. Once he gets this, yeah.
I ain't this free Uber stuff.
Yeah.
It's for the birds. I mean, it's like
free.
Yeah, because I'm toting him around everywhere. I'm
Oh,
talking about the
you're
14-year-old.
okay, I'm with you.
Yeah,
Okay.
the first one, he's got his license.
Yeah.
He's taking care of himself. And now with the 14-year-old,
Yeah.
and we're pushing him to get his license.
Yeah.
He's got half of the driver's ed done, the other half of next year. When he turns 16, I'll take him out of school. Let's go.
Oh,
Come on, let's get his license.
Wake up. You're going to
Yeah, exactly. We're not going to school today. Today's your birthday. Just get your license.
Our oldest, going back to the first versus the second, our oldest son, Travis, is 30. Was he 33 now? When he was born, so this was late 86. So in early 87, things are a little different back then. And they recommended, and what did we know? We're first-time parents. They recommended for any bottle feeding, you boil the water lightly or warm it up and then put the bottle in there and warm the milk that way. We fell for that for the first kid. Let me say that. Second kid rolls around, is like, hello, microwave.
Yeah.
And at this point, he turned out fine. You microwave the bottle of milk. With his right or off. Man, hey, at 2 a.m, that takes a long time to warm up that water. No matter how long you stare at it.
Man, I learned so much from that fatherhood stuff.
Oh,
man, that the first kid, and even when I had the second batch, I was like, okay, I'm experienced. I got this. Oh, dude, I must have forgot everything, or the laws changed. I even, there was points where I was like, you don't want the 2 o'clock feed.
Oh gosh.
So I was like, okay, well, we're not going to use formula. I said, baby, we're going to be all natural. You have to breastfeed the child. She was like, okay. So I'm like, cool. I had to wake up because, he cries. Nothing I can do for him. Man, my wife found out about a pump.
Yeah. Oh,
and then found out that breast milk could be, you can freeze it for 6 months.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Man, that rotation change.
Yeah.
It's your turn.
Yeah.
It's your turn.
I know. It's like, nah.
And then I did the ultimate thing. I started talking to the child while I was feeding him.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't go to sleep.
Yeah. Nice.
Oh, man.
The things we don't know. Yeah.
It's like,
that's funny.
I didn't have to deal with this before.
We are here with Carlos Mims, Vice President of Trapp Insurance Group. He is also president of his BNI chapter, meets Monday mornings at 8:30 at the famous Toastery. Today's show is brought to you by Oak City Tech, where they help you reach your goals with proven technologies for increasing traffic, leads, and sales. Go to oakcitytech.com. I know they can help you. Tell Drago we said hi. We talked earlier on about with the kids what your dad passed on to you and what you're starting to teach your boys now with the love letter, preparing for the family and everything. And I know you have a strong relationship with Dave Ramsey and his financial school advice and everything. How did you get into that? And how are you relaying that to your boys now? Because I think it's wonderful advice.
My wife has always been, I hate debt.
Yep.
I hate debt. I mean, ever since we've been married, I hate debt. And unfortunately, I could live with debt. That's the way it was before. I was the typical American. As long as I can make that payment, I'm good. Do what I want to do. And it was funny because we took Dave Ramsey. Right now, it's probably about 9 years ago.
Yep.
And I, in all honesty, and as they say, transparency, I took it because she wanted me to, and I really wanted her to get off my back about it.
Is the Financial Peace University?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
so first time around,
I bet half the spouses are there under that.
I took it, I made jokes, I laughed about it, and I got some information out of it, but I never got into it. And then probably about 3 years ago, I started playing his CDs in the car because there's a point where you get tired of not having and fighting. He goes, "There's got to be a better life." I wasn't born to be paying bills for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I want to own my lifestyle. So I started listening to it, and I told my wife, and our church had it. Then they stopped, and I said, "Hey, hon, why don't we be the coordinators for our church for Dave Ramsey?" And I said, "This would be a way for me to get back into it." And then next thing I know, the church was happy about it, and then we got into it. And then, the biggest thing was the paradigm shift. And once the paradigm shift happened, next thing I know, 5 years ago, we had over $100,000 worth of debt. August of this year, we paid it all off.
Wonderful.
And now it's a whole different perspective about life.
Oh, yeah.
And what was neat about it is, there's this scripture to talk about a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. And for me, that inheritance isn't the money, but it's about the process of the inheritance. And what my kids had the opportunity to see and what they're experiencing now is what it feels like to be debt free.
Yep.
So it's not a question. And my 20-year-old hates debt. He despises it because of the things that we're doing and the things that he sees us do. And my dad used to always say, if you don't have cash, if you can't pay cash, you don't need to buy it. Well, I thought that was the worst thing in the world. And I had cash, I got a card, and now I understand why he said what he said. So now it's, we plan for it. Big items, car broke down, went out and paid cash for the car I have now. That was the hardest money count I had.
But what I love, because my wife and I are both driving older cars.
Oh, yeah.
There's no car payment.
Yes.
It's a wonderful peace of mind to have. I was never a car guy, so I didn't have to have the convertible BMW or something like that. I'd be happy in a minivan. Doesn't matter to me. But just little things like that, knowing it's not hanging over your head.
Well, there was somebody, I got to remember where I got it from, but they would say debt or when you owe and you make a monthly payments, monthly payments gives you the right to pretend that you're the owner. Because if you stop making payments, the real owner is going to come and get their stuff.
Yeah, because you're not a homeowner. The bank will do
Exactly. So when that thing started resonating, then the only time you become an owner is when you have the title deed.
Yes.
The title or the deed. So my thing is, I want to own my lifestyle, because when you own, people can't take from you.
Correct.
And then there's a freedom of, in the next 5 years, we'll own the house. So I don't mind living in a house with no electricity, because I own the house.
Yeah.
But what hurts is when you don't have the house, you got to find a place to live. That means I will always have a place to live. And whether we want to be honest about it, businesses and people treat you different when you own the house or buying a house opposed to renting.
Yep.
Because anybody rent, they're like, oh, well, you can leave any day. That's why on the questions, they're always, do you rent?
Yeah.
Or you own? It's not just common knowledge. There's a different mentality when you're buying something.
Oh, yeah.
Or when you own it. Now, if you just flat out own it, that's even better.
When you are debt free, the options are yours.
Oh.
You can go, you can stay, you can take that 10-day cruise, you cannot. But when you're loaded with debt, and looking back on, I think you and I kind of looked at it the same way, you don't realize how much debt you have.
Oh, yeah.
Until you put up on paper one day, because I got the card, you're usually making the minimum monthly payment. Here's $12 off $22,000.
Yeah, exactly. And you wonder why you can't get ahead.
You have to live 3 lives to pay that stuff off. But it gives all the options to you.
Yes, I have this thing when we talk about lifestyle ownership. What's your number?
Yep.
And the number that I get people to understand is the number if you for your mortgage, whatever it takes to have life, lights,
Mhm.
insurance, and that thing. So let's say the mortgage is $1,000, another 1,500
Mhm.
covers everything else. So it's $2,500 a month. That's $30,000 a year. That's your lifestyle.
Mhm.
That's what it costs you to live. The problem is we got all this other debt. So my question is if you get rid of the debt and you're down to the $30,000 a year, a $60,000 job will give you everything you need
Oh, yeah.
to live. The problem is we're living a lifestyle we can't afford.
Yeah.
We're financing it. And when you get down to your number, you have choices. No longer do you have to stay at a job that you don't like.
Yep.
Now you can get another job that you enjoy because you know what your lifestyle number is. And for the young people, let's say it is the $30,000. Your job now is to get with a financial advisor, invest, so where you can have a pool of say $500,000 that's paying you 6% a year. You've just now funded your lifestyle.
Yeah.
You could quit whenever you want.
Yep.
So now it's a different mentality of what I call the American dream is lifestyle ownership. It's not the house, the picket fence, the 2 cars in the garage, all of that.
Mhm.
It's let me own my lifestyle so I can do the things that mean stuff for me.
Oh, yeah.
And Dave Ramsey, I get in arguments with people about, well, I don't do this. I don't like when he does that. The bottom line about Dave Ramsey, it is a process.
Yeah, it's the
It
process.
it's
Yeah.
not the only one out there.
Yeah.
And if you have something better, then you should be debt free now. If not, maybe you need to do the process, become debt free,
Yeah.
and then may tweak it like you want. And see, that's my problem is I don't have you came to me and said, look, I'm debt free. I didn't do Dave Ramsey. I'm like, okay, well, how'd you do it?
Yeah.
Most people that argue with me about that, man, they so far in
Oh,
debt.
yeah. Yeah.
They're treading water by bouncing to the bottom and come back up.
Yeah.
So my thing is something that works, that's proven. I don't have to agree with all of it, but it works. I need something that works.
Yeah.
It's like a diet.
And it's simple to do. And
It
most things,
is.
it's not easy, but it's simple. If you have an $800 debt and a $8,200 debt, pay off the $800 one first and see some success.
Yes.
It's like losing weight. Just 3 pounds the first 2 weeks, whatever the number is, you're like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah, you got to make up in your mind.
Yeah.
My thing was, Dave always talk about, go get a part-time job,
Mhm.
this, that, and the other. And I did that. Here I am.
We're going to talk about that.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Oh,
We'll
yeah.
talk about.
Yep.
But it's
Yeah.
it's that mindset that I decided. Even though my wife had decided earlier,
Yeah.
I decided that one of my wife's security points is getting out of debt.
Mhm.
When I got out of debt, the whole environment around the house changed.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sitting there beating myself. I said, man, I should have done this years ago.
Boys, let me sit you. I want you to.
Yeah.
You've used this from your dad telling stories. I want you to understand. You've used that 10 times since we sat down, and I love that. But I can see it. I want you to
Oh yeah.
understand.
I tell them like
You're going to
this.
thank me one day for this free advice.
My saying is, I'm telling you what I know.
Yeah.
This ain't what I read.
No.
And see, a lot of times people want to tell you what they read. Now, I'm going to tell you what I know.
Yeah.
This works.
Your story, real quick, about your 14-year-old and the phone.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect example.
I am a Samsung Android family. We love Samsung phones and we love the Android. My 14-year-old, he was 13 at the time, came up and said, I want an iPhone. I refused to buy an iPhone. I said, nope, the answer is no. He said, okay. So in the next 2 weeks, he went out and created his own landscape business. He went out, cut about 4 to 6 yards, came back to me and said, Dad, I want an iPhone. I said, I ain't buying you an iPhone. Dude whipped out about $250. He said, I got my own money. I want an iPhone. And I was like, okay. Got my keys, drove down to AT&T. He bought his own iPhone. And now he understands that if he wants something that I refuse to buy, he goes out and works out a way for him to get the money to buy. Because the one thing I try to get my kids to understand is, I do not want you to feel like there's an entitlement. I do not want to raise kids that believe they're entitled. And I told all my kids this saying. I was telling Mike earlier. My dad told me this, and I told all 4 of my boys, and they know it by heart. I said, just because you have my last name, that doesn't mean anything. I said, the government says I got to feed you, house you, and clothe you. What the government doesn't say is what kind of food to feed you, what kind of house to put you in. But fortunately, you be living with me, so we'll have a nice house, and what kind of clothes to put on your back. That's my discretion. And the way that you treat things around the house will determine what I actually get you. And they got that. It's not a freebie, because I'm quick to say all this stuff around here, it's me and mom. This is our money. You're on borrowed time, baby. So yeah, he got his own phone.
Yeah.
And
That's a great story, but he learned that.
Oh, yes.
And
Yes.
now he's like, oh, that's what I got to do. Okay. And he owns all the options.
Exactly.
He can buy it. He cannot buy it. He doesn't have to answer to anybody. Love that.
And the caveat is, if it's too big,
Yeah.
we'll say we go half with you.
Mhm.
You come up with half.
Yeah.
Because the one thing I've realized is, if you keep buying kids stuff, they tear it up because they don't have nothing in the game. So now it's like, if you come up with half, I'll meet you halfway. Now you got skin in the game.
Yep.
And they for some odd reason, they keep that stuff longer.
Yes.
They
It's
take
funny how that works out.
they take care of it. So I'm like, I'm good with that. And it's with my 20-year-old. When he wanted a car, so I'll go half with you.
My brother did that with, but his daughter is driving now, and his son's 14. But he's the same deal. He told him, "I'll up to this number, I'll match you whatever you save for a car."
Exactly.
And the daughter was struggling getting there. Son still got his 3rd grade lunch money. That dude, he knows to the penny how much he has in the bank, and he's ready to figure out what kind of car he wants to buy. So, but it's a great lesson, and you're right. They got skin in the game.
Exactly, because the thing that I'm trying to do, my job, is not only to find out what their gifting is, but I need to make sure that they know a process that doesn't have them to come home. I need you to understand, no matter how bad you think it is, there's an option. You can do something to get out of the situation that you're in. As bad as we may think America is, it's still the best country in the world for opportunity.
Yeah.
And I need you
your
to understand
son created his own opportunity, cutting yards.
Yeah.
And he was 13 at the time.
Now I had to explain to him about buying your own gas, using, because
but you're a little willing to help him once you saw what he did on the phone.
You got to first make that
first
step.
takes on me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You had talked about earlier about taking a second job to get out of debt, and you and I are both former Uber drivers.
Yeah.
I tried it for a different reason, but go ahead and talk about that.
Uber was the first one.
Yes. Oh, okay.
I took another one. Uber was, it took me a while to think about driving a car with a stranger in the back.
Yeah.
But once I got it, I had set up a system, what days I was going to drive, where I was going to drive. I had my little track set up.
You numbers guys love stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. So I'm averaging anywhere from 200 to 250 a weekend, working Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Yep.
So that's an extra $1,000. I was like, man, this is great. And but like any great thing, it starts to get saturated.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, numbers go down, and then you got to ask, is it worth me being out? Those times, because you're doing a great, I call it the witching hours. From 1 to 3.
Yeah.
And boy, there's some stories on those.
Thankfully nobody ever threw up in my van.
No one threw up
was
in
close, yeah.
But I did that for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But a year ago, when me and my wife really got serious, I went out and started working for FedEx.
While you were selling life insurance as a VP.
Yep.
Which tells people anybody can and should do that. There's nothing wrong with it.
Right. You
had a goal.
And I didn't want to strip the company.
Yeah.
Of saying, I'm automatically give myself a raise, because I still got employees I got to take care of.
Yep.
But started working at FedEx. It was December 1st, December 16th, December 6th. The time I signed up for was 3 a.m. to 8.
Yeah.
5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And you just unload trucks. That was probably the hardest job I've ever had.
Well, considering your age, at 20, it would have been like, we kind of work hard, but
over there. And but I lost weight, got in shape.
Oh yeah.
So I mentally, I get paid to get in shape. So
Nice.
what I didn't realize was they have the right to change the time. So because this is peak hours, I was clocking in at 1 o'clock in the morning and work an 8-hour shift. So you go 1 or 7 hours, 1 to 8.
Oh.
And then I'd go shower up, Planet Fitness, and then go to work, sell insurance. And then by the time I got home, so I did that up to, I think, a week before Thanksgiving. I was going to go through the end of the year, but a week before Thanksgiving. But the thing was, the extra money allowed us to expedite paying off the debt. And when I look back at it, it was hard work, but the end result was worth it. You know, now we're debt free.
Did you explain to your boys the strategy behind this?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they knew I was working.
And going back to a phrase you used earlier, now they've seen you do it.
Yes.
Instead of, hey, I read in the book here where you guys should do this. But they saw you do that, why you did it, while you had a pretty good job.
Yeah.
But the goal at the end of the day was to get out of debt.
Get out of debt.
Wonderful.
And the one thing that my wife had that I didn't have, she was willing to do whatever to get out of debt. I wasn't that committed. But then, you know, this time last year, when I actually started looking at the numbers and looking at life, and as you get older, things change.
Mhm.
Money is not that big of an issue. The quality of life is more important. I just go, okay, I was a little overweight. I said, this would be a great way they're gonna pay me that I can get involved, do something that doesn't take away from the rest of it. And when I made my mind up, and I got that same mentality that she did, it made a world of difference. Now I'm like, you know, let's pay it off. Let's pay it off. And we still do, you know, the Dave Ramsey's every dollar budget.
Yeah.
That was new to me. You know, tell you
And
dollars.
it's literal.
Oh yeah. None of his stuff is hard.
No.
This is not like trying to learn algebra for the first time. A lot of it is common sense. A lot of it is getting you out of the consumerism of capitalism and putting the focus on how do I want to live my life. And what I tell people is that Dave Ramsey's call is to get people to own their lifestyle, quit giving it away.
Yep.
And I was talking to somebody, I said, and Mike, I'm sure you've heard people say, man, if I had $1 million,
yes,
I'll do this, that, and the other. And I tell people, I said, if you sit down and add up all the gross you got paid, almost guaranteed you've made $1 million, but you gave it away.
Oh yeah.
To fund somebody else's lifestyle. So my whole goal is by the time I get up to about 60, which is actually where my 14-year-old will be out of high school, I own my house, I'll be debt free, and I can really be able to enjoy the grandkids then.
Yes.
Because then I'll
30 days or not.
Well, you know, I'll still have my company. I'm not quitting.
Yeah.
You know, because people who really retire usually die early. So I figure I can just keep working.
I'm with you on that.
I just keep working.
So
yeah.
I don't piddle around the house, so that's not going to work either.
Yeah, so I gotta, and that's the other reason I had to go to FedEx. I got a younger wife, so I got to be able to chase her around the house.
There you go.
So
man with a plan.
Man, look, and
now the day you retire, your son's going to call and go, 30 days? Can I bring him?
That's why I'm not retiring. There is no day of
Even
retirement.
if he finds out you're partly retired, you're going to go, 15 days, Dad? Come on.
I give you 3 days.
Yeah.
It's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
There you go. Speaking of jobs, do you remember your first job in high school?
Yes. I was attending E. Smith, and my first job was a bagger at the Fort Bragg commissary. So I'd work Saturday and Sunday, 2 days, and you work for tips, so I didn't have to pay taxes.
Ooh. And
that's where I really understood humility. I understood about wanting to tip people. Because, on payday, people will load up grocery bags, grocery carts, and the going rate was like $1 a cart. And there's days you have 5 carts, you go, man, this is going to be good, and they give you 50 cents. And you can't say nothing because that's, and then you go back and you mumble some stuff under your words but it made me appreciate the time that you have when you're working. Because I average $60 a weekend. That's good for high school. Didn't pay taxes. that paid for
Nice.
graduation, that paid for anytime I went out on a date. And then the other thing that my dad taught me was I got mad at the commissary, or the guy that was running it, and I quit. And my dad said, and I remember I quit without a job.
And you didn't tell him you were quitting, did you?
No, I didn't. And I remember I wanted to take a young lady out, and I asked my dad for a few dollars. And my dad looked at me and said, "Son, didn't you have a job?" I go, "Yeah, but I quit." I said, "Should have thought about that." And wouldn't give me a dime. Only thing he gave me was enough for gas. And then I had to bring the receipt back to make sure I put, if it was $20, I put the whole 20 in the, you know. But that point on, I never left a job without having another one.
You can't.
And he was all about the best teacher was experience. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't that he didn't love me. It was like, no, because if I do it now, I had to continue to do it, because you'll come back and say, "You remember when?" Yeah. Now, I had 2 sisters. That's a whole different story. Yes. Them jokers get away with murder. Yeah. I mean, he told my sister, he said, "Baby, you can stay with me the rest of your life." He looked at me and said, "18, you gone." I was like, "I'm your only son." Not my problem. Yeah. I was like, it's just, I love that, man.
My brother and sister each have a boy and a girl. My wife's sister has 2 girls, and we have 2 boys. So I have no clue what it's like other than having a sister.
Yeah.
Just what it's like to raise a daughter. I've heard stories, and I always laugh at my brother-in-law with the 2 girls. Like, I'm not even worried about you paying their college. I'm worried about you paying their wedding.
Oh, yeah.
Just the price of those these days. We got off easy with a rehearsal dinner.
Man,
that's too funny.
Because then I'm bringing Bojangles chicken.
You went home knowing your old man, and you quit and didn't tell him and didn't have another job.
Man.
Gutsy.
Yeah, we say stupidity at its finest.
How quick did you have another job?
It took me about 2 weeks.
Okay.
And then it was at McDonald's.
Okay.
Every kid started working at McDonald's.
Oh, no, yeah. What were you making back then? You remember?
$3.15. Okay.
Did you have your own car to drive there?
Or
did he make you walk?
No. This is no, I couldn't walk, but this is how I got my first car. My dad was he was in the military at Fort Bragg, and they had this club called NCO Club.
Yep.
And this GI came in, and he said, "Man, I need $150. I got to go do this, and the only thing I have is this car." And my dad goes, "Okay, I'll give you $150." He didn't even see the car.
Yeah.
It was a '72 Chevy Vega.
What color?
Camel tan or whatever. And he brought it back home, and it had in the what is it? The universal with the drive shaft connects.
You're asking the wrong
guy. It had two bolts.
Okay.
That was it. It's supposed to have 4. And
That's what
and my dad goes, "Here you go." And I looked at it. I was like, "Really?" And but man, that was the best little car until I wrecked it. That was the best little car. But I mean, it was like, that was it. And at that point, that's what I drove.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I would actually ride my bike because it was still right close to Fort Bragg.
Yeah.
But he didn't do a lot of going out of my way. You want it, let's work for it.
And you're debt free now, right? Kind of paid off. Between your dad and your wife, right?
More my wife.
Yeah.
Because now everything is hindsight.
Yeah.
2020. So that's why my dad did that.
Yeah.
That's why my dad said that.
You take a minute, give him credit, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
So he.
Yeah, you're right again.
he taught me so much about life that I did not know. Yeah. And then looking back at it, it was like, I'll say this about him, that I have huge props for him. My dad grew up in a town called Whitehall, South Carolina, which is about 45 minutes outside of Charleston, South Carolina. So my grandparents were literally sharecroppers. And then my grandfather that I met moved him into the city of Charleston, which was still segregated and all that. As soon as he got out of high school, he went into the Army. So he went to Vietnam, spent a couple of tours there. What was amazing to me was at his funeral, all of the different nationalities of soldiers that came up and called my dad.
Real.
I mean, across the whole, Hispanics, whites, blacks, Filipino. I mean, all across the racial barrier, all of them came up and said, "Man, he's like my father. He took me on the side and he did this," and it just shocked me because I didn't, to me, anybody that had a reason
Yeah.
to not cross the line, this man crossed it in a mighty way, and I was like, he never talked about it. He never, did a billboard about what he did, but in his death, his actions spoke to about him. And it made me think, what will people say when I die?
Mhm.
How do I beat that?
Yeah.
How do I take that to another level? And I appreciate that. I wish he was living so I can have that conversation. What made you do it?
Yeah.
And I always remember him saying, um, it's about helping. It's about getting him over that hump. If you want to do better and I can help you, I'll do it.
Nice.
And so now, I grew up, always wanting to help despite of what I made. Out of my lack, I want to help. Um, and that kind of bleeds into the life insurance. I started in
Gotcha.
final expense
Yep.
where it was about close the deal, get to the next one, close the deal. But somewhere down the line, it became more about how do I secure your life? I want to be known. They always say, I'm known in some houses because when they died or the parent died, there was that money. And then you get those responses, man, I didn't have to worry about it. It wasn't a matter of how we're going to cover this expense. It was covered and I had a few dollars left over. It's about that fulfilling. And that was one of the reasons I got out of the computer business was, it was about selling the computer, fix it, go on. There wasn't that satisfaction of how do I touch your life?
Yeah.
Now I touched the business.
Oh yeah.
Because now they pay less and get more,
Yep.
but it doesn't change the life of the individual.
Yeah.
Now I want to help the individual to enjoy life. You don't need to spending 20, 70 years and you're still struggling.
Yeah.
I mean, somewhere down the line that's got to be broken.
My guess is your dad gave the same tough love to all those soldiers.
Oh yeah.
And it obviously at that time in their life, they needed it.
Oh yeah.
And my guess is still talk about him today or reference him in let me tell you how hard you have it. And you can see your dad's words coming out of their mouth.
Oh
right?
Yeah.
And I want you to understand. I wonder how many of those guys are talking to their kids. I want you to understand.
Yeah. My dad was like this. Now he was a disciplinarian.
No.
To me, you ever seen that movie Judge Dredd?
No, I know of it.
Okay, yeah. So that was my dad. Jury, was a jury, judge, and executioner. Yeah. He was capital punishment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anytime I remember my mom called my dad. I was in trouble, and before he even got in the house, I was crying because I figured that'd make him feel any better. He goes, it does nothing for him, and he still get a hold of me. But I remember he got on me about cleaning my room. He kept getting on me. He said, "All right, I'm done talking to you. 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, before you get up and go to school, I'm inspecting your room.
Oh.
And if it isn't straight, if it isn't clean, there's a price you're gonna pay." So for like 6 months, I had to get up, straighten my room, make sure, and he literally got up after he ran. Then he came in and said, "All right, get up," and it was straight. So I learned different little tools. So I slept on top of the covers.
Yeah.
Folded up the blanket, but it was straight.
You learned, yeah.
And and it taught me, first of all, it taught me he meant business. And so I never questioned him. And he taught me that sometimes you do orders whether you know what the end result is, because dad knows best. I've been there, and I discovered that the stuff I do, he did.
Yeah.
And I keep trying to tell my boys that. I said, you want me to know why you got caught? Yeah. Oh, I did it. I did a little better than you, but I did it.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Right,
so
right.
That's cool. So, we appreciate it today. Love the stories with the passed on from the dads. I love those succession stories and what you can offer. For anybody that needs life insurance, financial advice, parenting advice, how to teach your kid not to quit the first job without getting the second job, give Carlos a call at Trapp Insurance Group. The planning is important, folks. Please do it for you or your kids or your grandkids. Carlos, we appreciate it today. Good luck with the business. And we'll see you next time on Triangle BNI.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.